It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Queenstown, New Zealand, everybody. What an amazing place to fly. It's the adventure capital of the world. Beautiful scenery, amazing lake, but you've got to watch out for these. So today's video was supposed to be just a nice flight from Queenstown to Auckland, and you can hear me explaining the track on departure right here. Southwest, and then up over, we take off over the Frankton Township, over Lake Wakatipu, big sweeping right hand turn, then proceed on track up north to Auckland. But as you saw at the start of the video, things went pretty awry, and I'm pretty sure I would have lost my pilot's license. And when I look back at the replay, there was one thing that I definitely got right early in the video. Just about ready for takeoff, ladies and gentlemen, so hold on tight. I'm not a great pilot. So let's take a look at what transpired up until the point that the aircraft started yelling at me to pull up. V2, rotate. We have the positive rate of climb. Gear is up. Let's let the autopilot take it from here, ladies and gentlemen. So trying to plough your aircraft into the face of a mountain really doesn't work for you or your passengers, and there was a couple of key lessons that I learned from this episode, and a couple of big mistakes that I made. Now, these were pretty straightforward, most of them, but the first one, as I'm showing you right now, is the fact that I went and hit that autopilot button, and that's something I shouldn't have done, because what happened is the aircraft decided to follow the track that I had punched into the MCDU. Exactly as it's trained to do, or exactly as it's designed to do, I should say. So it did nothing wrong, it was pilot error. So what I'll show you now is the big mistake I made, which was not reading the charts correctly. Okay, so here's the chart right here, and it's the AMPOV 3 Sierra departure that I had loaded in. And as you can see, here goes the runway right down here, runway 23, and you take off here, and let's read what it says. Note number 1, visual segment not showing, C chart NZQN-NZAA. Now this is a very key piece of information that I didn't look into. In fact, I didn't look at it at all. And I should have known better, because around Queenstown, it's a mountainous terrain and you've got to be very, very careful. But essentially my MCDU, as soon as I took off here, I decided, I better go over to Dallol, because that's what you told me to do. Unfortunately, there's a big hill right there. And so let's take a quick look at the visual segment that I did not follow, which I should have. And here it is right here. So essentially you got runway 23 here, and here goes the lake. You can see the dark pattern. So if we follow the arrows, you sort of hug the coastline through the, it's not really a coastline, it's a lake. Is that a coastline? Who knows? You follow it down through here, and then you make your way around Rat Point, and you're obviously climbing all the time, and then you make your big right hand sweep and then up towards Dallol. So obviously you have that quite a long length of time right here to get that altitude before making your way up to the next waypoint. So let's look in the game what that is supposed to look like. So there goes the airfield in the distance there. You can't see it very well. There we go, we zoom it in. And so you take off runway 23, and what you're actually supposed to do is just make a slight left-hand turn over the township of Queenstown and follow the edge of the lake all the way down here until the lake weaves around to the right there. This is Rat Point on the corner there, which is showing on the chart, and that's where you make your right hand turn and then proceed up to the next waypoint and on course. Now, as you can imagine, that looks like it's about probably 5, 6, maybe 7 kilometres, so 3 or 4 miles there or thereabouts, down to the edge of that point right there. Plenty of time to gain altitude and miss some of these scary looking mountains that are lingering around. So that's what I should have done. That's not what I did do though. So if I'd actually read the charts correctly, well, read them at all really, I would have seen that there was a visual segment which wasn't showing in here. And actually, when you think about it, it's pretty obvious because that big hill that's in the road. And I would have actually picked up the visual segment, understood that I had to manually fly this plane until the correct point to turn around and be at the right altitude to miss all these. So you can see right here the altitude markers, all these quite large hills in the approximate area. So you might have noticed in my takeoff roll that I had a red error message referring to the parking brake, because what happened was, just as I was about to start my takeoff roll, I accidentally switched on the parking brake, turned it off again, but then it threw the master warning on, which I cleared, but then I didn't clear that off my panel. So what I did is I figured out what I was supposed to do, and I'm showing you a screenshot right here. There's two, in your center console, there's two clear buttons. You can just press one of those and that red error message will be removed. It's not life or death or anything like that, but it's for people who are a bit OCD, you can get rid of it, and you probably should clear it anyway. So you might be thinking, what was the damage? Here's what happened. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, of course, I could have probably just deleted that flight, started again, learnt my lesson, and then posted that video. But I just thought it was quite interesting, just some of the mistakes I made. And I thought, let's put it out there. It's a good reminder to us all. Now, of course, checking charts, it's a real basic of flight navigation and planning. But sometimes you can get lulled into a false sense of security, particularly when flying these big birds, which have got your MCDUs, your flight management computers, etc. And that, you know, sometimes you're just so used to just flicking on that autopilot and it follows your track and everybody's happy. But particularly when you're in a mountainous terrain type area like Queenstown, you really got to make sure that you read and understand the charts, the arrival and the departure charts, just to make sure that you're not putting, in this case, 144 passengers and plus the crew and the pilots in quite a bit of danger. Also, just a cool little tip there around how to clear that panel. It was pretty obvious too, but I just learnt that today also. So there you go. So maybe you might have learned something. Maybe it was just a bit of a reminder, but I hope you did enjoy this type of video. If you did, please smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new, and until next time, everybody, take it easy.